overwhelm and burnout are actually indicators of one important thing and whatever is causing it. And what they're indicating is that you're out of alignment. Well, hello there, prosperity seeker. Welcome to another episode of The Prosperity Approach. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez. I'm honored and delighted that you have tuned in for today's episode because today we're going to talk about how to heal the cause of burnout and overwhelm. But before we dive into that, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, be sure you're following the podcast on your favorite app. And to see what we're up to, head on over to AllysonChavez.com where you can pick up free meditations, resources, at-a-glance downloads to help you lead with your feminine, let go of fear or guilt around spending money, and learn the practical boots-on-the-ground strategy to redesign your reality one little tweak at a time. That's tweak at a time, not twerk at a time. Although, I suppose you could twerk your way to your epic life. I prefer tweaking over twerking, but that's a different episode. So let's talk about how do we heal burnout and overwhelm? I think that's the biggest thing that women come to me with is just feeling so depleted. They're like a worn out rag or this dried out husk. And they're overwhelmed with everything. And overwhelm and burnout are real things that we are dealing with even really just with everyday life. But I think it's because of the way that we've been taught to deal with how life comes at us. And if we'll make a few little tweaks right off the bat that life isn't coming at you, life is coming to you, that helps us, first of all, like, hey, this is here because we can handle it. But let's really dive into what is causing overwhelm and burnout, because overwhelm and burnout are not the problem. They are the result of whatever is causing it. First, let's talk about the definition of overwhelm and burnout. Overwhelm is an indication that you're future tripping. You are trying to handle next week's problems today, or you're trying to get ahead and you're worried about next month or in 3 months or even tomorrow. When you're in overwhelm, it robs you of your power and it strips you of the joy of the moment. So overwhelm is a thing. Burnout is this sense of being all dried up. Burnout is a physical or mental collapse that's caused by overwork or stress. That's what the online dictionary told me burnout was. Anyway, physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. And I think all of us can raise our hands to relating to that for sure. But both of these things that we experience, overwhelm and burnout, are actually indicators of one important thing and whatever is causing it. And what they're indicating is that you're out of alignment. Now, I loved this so much. I was at a 2-day event with my business mentor not too long ago. And she just mentioned this just kind of like off the cuff, and then off she went because she wanted to teach us some business strategies, which is great. That's what we were there for. But I picked up on that like a bulldog to a bone. I was like, I think she's right. Burnout and overwhelm are indicators that you're out of alignment. So if that's all this is, and alignment is everything, I am all about alignment, how do we heal it? How do we get back aligned? So I'm the older I get, the more in love I am with words and what words actually mean. When we can just pull up an online dictionary and just type in the meaning of different words, it helps anchor them in such a different way. And many times I'm like, oh, that's not what that word meant at all. Holy cow, I've been giving this word a meaning that it doesn't actually mean. So let's talk about the meaning of alignment. According to the dictionary, alignment is a position of agreement or alliance. Isn't that amazing? So if you're in overwhelm, and too much overwhelm for too long of a period of time leads to burnout, it means that you're not in agreement or alliance with what you want. You're out of alignment with the outcome you desire. That's what burnout and overwhelm is. You've been working too long. You've been stressing too long. You've been in masculine for too long. So Rather than treating the symptoms or masking the symptoms of burnout and overwhelm, we've got to treat the cause. We've got to heal the cause. And the cause of burnout and overwhelm is misalignment. Once you get aligned, the symptoms take care of themselves. And then you do what Joe Dispenza calls causing the effect. Instead of playing with cause and effect, you are causing the effect that you want, which is tuned in, turned on, feeling completely empowered. So what does this actually look like? And this is something that I have been playing with, which is so fun and is so much simpler and easier to do than we may think. So before I give you the treatment of it or give you the prescription for it, I do want to tell you why it's so important that we go to the cause rather than masking the symptoms or just dealing with the symptoms. Because if we just deal with the symptoms in real life, overwork and too much stress and overwhelm and burnout leads to escapism. It leads to us shutting down. It leads to us eating our emotions. It leads to us scrolling for hours on end, mindlessly numbing to life. And it robs us of our life if we're just trying to get out of overwhelm or trying to end the burnout. Many times we get self-destructive as well, and we just blow up relationships. We leave relationships. If you're working a business and you're like, I am just so burned out from this, I don't want to do anything. And then you just torch your business. If that business is something that is coming from your heart and it's led by your desires, or at least it started that way, when you're out of the burnout or you're out of the overwhelm, you realize, oh dear, I made some pretty important life decisions when I was not in the good headspace to make important life decisions or to make important life changes. So that's why we want to go to the cause rather than trying to mask over the symptoms. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, let me know if you resonate with that. Type in the chat, I numb if you numb, or I try to escape if you try to escape, so that I know that you're tracking with me on this and you can see where we're not taught to heal the cause. We're not taught to get back into alignment. We're taught to get rid of the overwhelm. We're taught to get rid of the burnout. We're taught to get rid of the stress. But if you will just realign, the burnout and the overwhelm will take care of themselves. So how do we do this in a feminine way? Remember, desire is feminine. It's quintessential feminine. And we want to start in feminine. And by the way, my audience is women, but this works for men as well. We should always be leading with our desires. With men, it would sound like the vision or the goal. We always want to be leading with the vision and staying connected and aligned with the vision. And remember what alignment is? It's a position of agreement or alliance. It's consent. Like, yes, that's what I want. Yes, I agree with that. That's what I'm headed towards. So you got to reconnect with your desire. And the desire needs to be more specific than I want to get out of this overwhelm, because then you're just connected to overwhelm. And so when I am feeling that overwhelm or I'm feeling that burnout, or I don't operate much in overwhelm or burnout anymore. Not burnout. Overwhelm, yes, a little bit, quite honestly. I mean, I'm a work in progress as well. I don't operate in burnout anymore. I used to. That was my badge of honor, working in burnout and meltdown. Not anymore. But sometimes overwhelm is very tempting for me. It's tempting for me to go into overwhelm and then to future trip and then get into scarcity and all of that, because that's what I was conditioned to do. And so instead of ending the overwhelm, I will just take a moment, and I do this right in my office. I would recommend at first, leave the place that you're feeling overwhelmed. So if you're in your kitchen feeling overwhelmed, leave the kitchen, go into your bedroom and lie down for a few minutes and close your eyes and just think about what you would love. It doesn't have to have anything to do with what you're feeling overwhelmed about. I would love a nap. I would love to take a nap. Or I would love a foot rub. Or I would love to spend time reading a fun book. Do you see how really simple those things are? It's getting you back aligned with your desire. If you're after a particular income, like usually overwhelm is because we've got a lot of things on our to-do list. We don't have enough space or time to get them all done in that container that we've set, those parameters or deadlines that we've set for ourselves or that others have imposed on us. And so if you're wanting to get out of overwhelm with that, what's the outcome you want with the project? I would love for this project to be finished. How would I feel if this project were already finished? Relief. So satisfied. I'd feel so content. I'd feel accomplished. If it was, I would love a good foot rub, how would that feel? Oh, it'd feel like letting go. I just feel so relaxed. And just play with that for just a minute. Like, can you feel that right now? Even me just talking about it, like I'm going there, just explaining how to do this. Like, oh, somebody taking care of me. I'd feel supported. I'd feel the let go. I'd feel myself feeling more spacious because I'd be taking a deep breath. Oh, that would feel amazing. And just notice how you feel. This shouldn't take very long. As I've been playing around with it, it only takes a few minutes, really. And if it's taking longer than that, then that's fine. Let it take as long as it's going to take. Set your timer if you need to for 5 or 10 minutes. But it really is just like, close your eyes if you can. But just imagine, what would I love? Because those are your desires. And you might love a drink of water. In that moment, and what I mean by I would love is like, what do you want in the moment? What do you want? I would love someone to make dinner for me. Oh, how would that feel if someone were making dinner for me? Spacious. It would feel like I'd have more space. It would have room to breathe. I would love to listen to some great music right now. Oh, how would that feel? It would be calming. It would help me to calm the freak down. All right. So super, super simple, but that is you getting into alignment, because when you're asking yourself what you would love and how you would feel when you have it, you're getting into alliance or agreement, which is called alignment. And you're getting out of overwhelm. Do you see where the overwhelm and the burnout just kind of fade away? Okay, but then there's the next piece to this, because we can't have you just lying on your bed with your eyes closed, declaring what you want, how you would feel all the time, because we got to let the masculine support the feminine. And, like the laundry's not going to do itself unless you're smart and you have your spouse do it, and it does itself. And it's such a blessing. Or like whatever, the project that is required for you to do isn't going to do itself. It requires you. And this is that action part of the creation process, which is a really, really beautiful part. And it's a necessary part because it helps you feel so powerful, and the action and the physical part of it is just so much fun. So the next thing that you're going to do is go to your to-do list, for example, if you are feeling overwhelmed, because overwhelm is usually because you've got too much tasks and not enough time. And so you're going to pick one thing on that list that feels lightest and easiest for you to do in this moment. Whereas 5 minutes before, everything felt like it was going to push you over the edge by the virtue of the fact that you've just now gotten yourself into alignment with what you would love and how you would feel. Something on your to-do list is going to bubble up to the surface, and you're going to feel excited about it, or you're going to feel like, yeah, I could tackle that. Yeah, I can do that. Because now you're present in the moment. You've now just pulled your power back to you, pulling power of the feminine. You've just gathered your empowerment and your power, and now watch how quickly you can execute those things that are on your to-do list. It helps you stay present right in the moment. It helps you to stay focused, because now you've put yourself in a position of agreement or alliance with what it is you desire. Even if your desires, again, have nothing to do with what's on your to-do list, it doesn't matter. You've already realigned. Now, for burnout, what I would recommend is actually the same thing. If you're burned out with your company, usually what you would love is a vacation from it. And so go to that. I would love to spend the weekend in Cabo. I would love to spend a week in Hawaii, whatever that is, go there. I would love to be off the grid, whatever that is for you. And then when you go back to that, then look at projects that are there for you in your company, or within your own position in the company, and what feels lightest, what small part feels lightest for you to push the needle forward on. This will work like a charm. This will heal the overwhelm and the burnout because we're getting you back aligned. Isn't that, this is why you can tweak your way to the life that you desire, because it's just tiny little tweaks, it's tiny little adjustments as we go. So if you start feeling burned out again, go back to, I would love, this is how it would make me feel, and realign. So many of us are used to working in misalignment and stress and overwhelm and all of that, that sometimes we would wrap up our identity in it. But you're changing your identity now. And this is one of the ways that you do it. I hope that this is helpful. This has made a world of difference for me. And so if you will do this and you will be diligent at it, I know that it will make a world of difference for you as well. If you found some gaps that are really hard for you to close by yourself, then connect with one of my members of Team Prosperity. We're offering free connect calls and free consult calls. So click on the link in the show notes. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, you're going to go to go.oncehub.com/Jode Rise Up Consult Call. That's all one word. Let's spend 10 or 15 minutes with a member of Team Prosperity so we can help you with those gaps, give you best next steps to close those gaps so you can tweak your way to the life that you were born to live. And until then, remember, my beautiful friend, prosperity becomes you.